Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and check out our other videos.
During his Netflix special, The Bird Revelation, Dave Chappelle spoke at great lengths about cancel culture and the detrimental nature of a paradigm that favors execution over empathy. A world where we're constantly aiming our ear towards those who have erred, fingers on the trigger, a chamber filled with old social media posts waiting to unload the moment they say something that could be construed as controversial. The most important distinction Chappelle makes during this epic set was about the need for allies, even ones that have erred. I'm telling you right now, you're going to have a lot of imperfect allies. Unless we keep eating them. Lindsay Ellis makes for an interesting case study, an imperfect example of someone who has suffered the slings and arrows of internet indignation, and a gauntlet of different experiences have helped make her unique on the creator landscape. Her existence became known to most as the nostalgic chick on Channel Awesome, where she openly embraced the role of cinematic sex kitten and created content that ranged from troublesome to toxic, the kind of cringe-inducing attempts at courting controversial posings as pushing the envelope. Nothing was off limit, including some uncomfortable attempts at using sexual assault as a comedic punchline. All of it was awful, poorly produced, and thankfully died, except for one particular gift which lives in internet infamy. But Lindsay survived the experience. She had sacrificed her dignity for likes and had to crawl out of the cultural gutter and try to rebuild her reputation one video at a time. She began to create her own content, abandoning the over-sexualized persona and flexing her cerebellum to create video essays with a unique perspective. She was still the charismatic on-screen presence, but now free of problematic pandering. The quality of her content improved, as did the strength of her creative voice. She made further forays into legitimate mainstream artistic endeavors, from partnerships with public television, podcasts, and becoming a best-selling author. Few people crawl through the river of excrement that is internet celebrity and come out of the other side clean. Mistakes will be made, lines may be crossed, questionable posts to Twitter brought forth legitimate criticisms. In spite of maturation, a penchant for poking the hornet's nest remains prevalent, the kind of predicament that seems so natural to influencers and creators, the ones who believe that relevance requires perpetual provocation, who believe the work is less valuable than the carefully crafted public persona. If the lines being crossed are simply the product of immaturity, ignorance, or a combination of both, are lasting consequences required. So long as no one is harmed should be an important line of demarcation. Physical harm or assault should always come with repercussions. Hurt feelings are fine and impossible to avoid. Lindsay Ellis is what creator culture needs more of. Imperfect allies, those scuffled souls who have made mistakes, crossed lines, taken a virtual beating, and grown from the experience. It is impossible to know someone through viewing their creative output. It can give you a window into their mind, but it's rarely more than a glimpse. But the truth is, I think Lindsay Ellis was an ally, imperfect though she may be. She's been consistently willing to speak up for causes she believes in, even when it's put her in the crosshairs of bad faith actors who see her as a viable target in an unwinnable cultural war. Her cancellation feels so random, a debacle caused by one of the least controversial things she's ever tweeted. A comparison between Disney's Raya the Last Dragon and the popular animated series Avatar The Last Airbender. A thought that was quickly scrutinized as being insensitive towards Asian culture and showed her lack of expertise on this subject. She offered further insight into her initial thoughts, but offered no apology. And soon, the old tweets and questionable past behaviors were brought into the discussion, painting her as a detriment to progress and dangerous to further discourse. The feast began. call-outs for her cancellation, in spite of her principled stance for the trans community and her clear commitment to causes and positions promoting a more inclusive and progressive society. The internet doesn't forget, and unfortunately, it rarely forgives. When blood hits the water, the feast begins. In a time where progressive allies are desperately needed, they seem to be most invested in shouting down imperfect allies. Instead of disclosure or dialogue, we demonize. While bad faith actors are openly welcoming everyone, regardless of their abhorrent ideologies and behavior, the progressive side continues to eat their own, devouring imperfect allies because of past mistakes, mass mastification on those who have made easily forgivable mistakes or lapses in judgment. There are many who have been on the receiving end of cancellation from virtual pitchfork-wielding mobs who have caused real harm. Lindsay Ellis helped more than she hurt. She's far closer to an ally than an enemy when it comes to progressive issues. And if those on the side of progress continue to consume imperfect allies at every opportunity, there might not be enough to shout down the real enemies, the xenophobic, misogynistic minorities seeking to strip the rights and protections away from those who need it most. We need to stop eating our allies and start offering them a place at the table, and allow the conversation to continue, where people can explore the nuances and context of these teachable moments. Unfortunately, in our current state, there are few opportunities for genuine discourse that could contribute to the education of not only Lindsay Ellis, but the millions of people she's reached on her various platforms.